Hey everybody, Professor Kellenhofer here again. I hope you're doing well. One of the things I'd like to talk to you today about in our reading of Antigone is the idea of Kleos and Antigone, Kleos, K-L-E-O-S, which we talked about often in the previous 2 weeks. Kleos meaning glory, the type of immortal fame that the Greek warrior was trying to gain in the Iliad. Why was Achilles fighting in the Iliad? Because he wanted to gain this Kleos, gain glory, gain fame. And so it's a very masculinized idea, and you may wonder, well, what about the women of ancient Greece? Is this an avenue, Kleos? Is this avenue only open to men? Only open to heroes? And so Antigone is a good example of something to look at with Kleos, and to see if the question arises, what is driving Antigone, and could it possibly be the same thing that's driving Achilles in the Iliad? Antigone buries her brother Polynices against the law. She chooses to bury her brother because he has just as much right, according to her, to burial as any other person, and that she owes the dead more than she owes the living. But if you look at her verbiage and her logic, often she doesn't seem to make any sense. One of the issues that's of interest to us is her eventual death. At first, Creon orders her death to be a death by stoning. But as it becomes more and more clear that her actions have popular sympathy, that the Thebans like what she has done, and this is evidenced by what the chorus says, well, eventually he has to, instead of having her stoned to death, he has to have her killed in some other way. Because for someone to be stoned to death, we have to have people willing to throw the rocks. And so he has her walled up into a cave to starve to death, die of slow starvation, which is fine, but completely nonsensical, because everyone can see in the play that her fiancé, Haemon, the son of Creon, loves her desperately. So simple logic would seem to dictate that if Antigone is locked away in a cave, Haemon will go get her. Haemon will go feed her or break her out and take her away. So perhaps Creon is thinking of this. He's thinking that his solution is simply have Antigone fade away into the night. But this is not the end of the play. The end of the play is Antigone hangs herself before Haemon can get there. So we go back to Kleos. Why does Antigone hang herself? Doesn't she know that her fiancé would most likely come take her away? And I'd argue, yes, she does know that her fiancé would come and save her. So the question remains, why does she hang herself? And I think it all goes back to glory, to Kleos, over and over and over again. She embarks on this act to bury Polynices because it's the only way for her in a feminized role, in a feminized way, to gain notoriety, to gain fame, to gain greatness. The sacrifice of her life for her religious principles makes a martyr of her. And this Kleos, this glory, is something that she seems to be seeking throughout. And if you read the first few pages, you'll note that at the beginning, she and Ismene, her sister, talk about the idea that they're going to bury Polynices against the law. And when Ismene says that she will not participate, Antigone seems to leap on it and say, hooray, I don't want you to anyway. At least in my reading. On page 661 of your reading, you'll see Antigone's first long quote. If you say, you will make me hate you, and the hatred of the dead by all rights will haunt you night and day, but leave me to my own absurdity, leave me to suffer this dreadful thing. I will suffer nothing as great as death without glory. So that line seems to be saying the same as many of the lines we see with Achilles and others, that she would prefer to die with glory than live without it. And so there are many lines where Antigone asks for glory. Later on, when Creon is giving her a lecture, she yells, "Give me glory," demanding her own death right away. So all things begin to make a little more sense when we look at the idea that perhaps Antigone is chasing death. Perhaps Antigone wants to die because it is only through her death and sacrifice that she can gain this feminized Kleos, that she can gain this type of fame. Had she waited for Haman to just break her out before she hung herself, then she would just go on, and her sacrifice would be a small one, banishment rather than death. So the attainment of Kleos for Antigone may in fact be something that's driving her, and may be in something that's just as important in the play Antigone by Sophocles as it was in Homer's Iliad. If you have any questions or anything, please give me a call as always, or drop me an email. I hope you're enjoying the class, and I'll talk to you soon.